Hello everyone, Plankton here. I'm just your regular French guy addicted to Factorio with some rookie numbers. If you have never played Factorio, go try the demo. So after you've beaten the game officially for a few times, you might be in search of a fresh new challenge. And well, the mod portal got you covered, more specifically the overhaul section. To be fair, I'm still quite a noob in Factorio and I'm always afraid of the big mods, if you know what I mean.
I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
Lastly, I've been interested in the Freight Forwarding mod. It promises a small overhaul with a focus on long-distance logistics. So in this video you will see my whole edited playthrough of that mod. The game starts as usually. You are the lone survivor of a ship crash and you have to escape this world. What I really enjoy in these mods is that they incorporate their own guidelines in the tips section so you know where you're going. The first phase of this mod is like in the base game. You punch some trees and rocks. You place your first furnace and your first mining drill. Handcraft a few items and set up some nice burner mining drill snakes. Luckily my starting ore patches are close to each other. I'm placing my first boiler, so now we have electricity. Oh, by the way, I've also installed the even distribution mod. It allows you to hold control and click to evenly distribute items on buildings, such as coal on furnaces. Let's start using that lab and researching automation, among other few things. For now there are no biters. Emphasis on for now. This is your usual early game. I'm just handcrafting a lot of stuff and setting up my first smelting array. Now we don't need to reinvent the wheel. If a design works, keep using it. Fixing power production for it to be a bit more scalable. And now we should be... Wait, what is that music? These guys don't seem friendly. And now we should be fine, we have the beginning of a boss. I think you can understand why I'm automating ammo and gun turret production.
12 seconds later.
Look who's there, the green circuits. Also, I'm adding lights to my base. Sorry if I forget about it, I'm quite new to this thing. More production, more power. Nah, I think those biters are gonna be a problem. For now I'm just scaling up iron production. Well, as you can see, these ravers keep knocking at my door, so I'm going to give them a little visit. Right, now back to making a mold. It's a bit of a mess, but it's my spaghetti, I love it. Now I'm setting up some stone production. Stone equals walls, equals more defense, equals less annoyance. For now, this game is exactly as it is in the base game. I have reworked my green circuit production a bit, and now I'm automating red science production. Whenever I build a base in Factorio, I follow this philosophy. You've got your main bus on the middle, the input on the left. I choose to put more items on the top, and the bottom space is reserved for science and circuit production. The keyword here being, of course, scalability. I need to be able to increase my production by going downwards like this. Well, back to the factory. I'm quite proud of this lab input. But now let's work on green science. I'm saving you some time with the power of editing, but you have to know I'm just fixing my defenses, organizing, optimizing production, and finally working on a steel furnace array. Now we've got every basic item on the bus. Hooray! I've also worked on my wall to increase basic item production. In freight forwarding, you've got several types of water. The shallow water, which you can walk on, and the normal water, which... Isn't he cute with his little boy? So yeah, as you can see, I've got a big pollution cloud, and the local rivers don't seem really happy about that. Sorry biters, but this area is now restricted. Ah, much better. If you had read the mod description, you would already know it, but as scanners show it on the map, we're stuck on a small island. Well, sometimes I feel really stupid. I spent more than an hour surrounding my base with walls and a huge belt for ammo, right? Well, I could just roam around the island and destroy every biter nest that exists on it. No biter, no expansion. No expansion, no more pollution issues. So let's go explore the desert. As I'm punching this last nest with my handy pickaxe, that's it. We're free from the techno music, at least for now. You might also wonder why I went on foot into the desert. That's here that the mod deviates from the base game. To get a car, you need a new ore called lead. But luckily, as I was making peace with the locals, I found a nice patch right here. But here's the catch. In freight forwarding, most items stack to a ridiculously small number. The aforementioned lead stack size is 15, so there's no hope of filling a train with it. Hopefully the mod gives you a new building called the containerization machine. You can craft containers with a bit of steel, and you can load a lot of items into the container with that machine. On the other side, you can unload the containers, which will give you back your ores and your container, but there's also a small chance that the container gets destroyed in the process. Another thing that's different are those mini cargo trains. Yep, that's only 2 items per wagon. I'm bringing some coal for the mini locomotives, automating a special rail called Iron Bridge Rail, and it's time to claim our new patch. Now we just put the lead ore into furnaces and we get lead plates. There's also a small chance of it giving copper ore, but that's nothing a few priority input splitters can't handle. Those mini trains are cute, but I guess they're still prototypes. They have an outstanding 60 km per hour max speed. With lead in our bus, I can now produce the latest orange tier called Transport Science Pack. Calculating optimal ratios for items is quite the exercise in Factorio. If you're like me, you probably have a small notepad on your desk with all kind of numbers and gibberish on it. Hopefully my desk is now clean and tidy thanks to mods like the Factory Planner. You just input the number of items you want and everything is given up to you. That's great. If you're hearing a beeping noise, you're not alone. I wasn't quite sure yet on how to manage containers, so I set up an alarm. This alarm raises if the number of containers on the lead patch is too low, so I go back to hand feed the chest. Yeah, and for the alarm I also chose the node. Let's pretend that defense wall never happened. I now have orange science set up. Yay, finally a car! With transport science in stock, I have researched a little boat. At first I thought it was pretty fast, but the map happens to be huge. Here's the reason why I went on exploring. In this mod, you can only find oil in the middle of the seas. Well, easier said than done. I need more items to be automated in my mall. I'm also increasing steel production and adding some concrete crafting. My starter iron patch is getting low, but thanks to my diplomacy talents, I can now get access to another one with trains. This time, I'm trying to build the container processing smarter. 4 wagons will feed 4 decontainerization machines, and with filter inserters, I'm rerouting every used container into a dedicated wagon for them. I'm branching off the lead train track. I set up the electric mining drills, and after hand feeding the first containers, we're good to go. Okay, now back to getting that black goo. You can extract offshore oil with those oil rigs, which are conveniently self-powered. Then, you can move oil with that big boat called a tanker ship. Here's footage of stupid me trying to place a boat on a train railway. Maybe I should read the mod tips section. Turns out every train item got its counterpart for the boat world. The port is equivalent to the train stop. Waterways are like rails but on water and free to build, and you even have signal buoys and chain signal buoys. Now I'm drawing a waterway with those blue lines, placing the rigs, the port, the underwater pipes, the pumps. I set up my boat conditions and we're up to go. Yep. I just died while swimming by getting slowly knocked to death by a massive ship. Finally, we've got crude oil coming into our land storage tank. And here's a small fuel setup to power back the ship. This mini locomotive will bring back the oil near the main bus. And now there's only one thing left to do.
Jesse, we have to cook.
I have seen this place before. It was many thousand cycles ago. Why did you dig me up from my underground home? There might be a reason why they kept me so.
The unfolded eye fell down up from high to spoil the mind of their chosen kind.
I think I have inhaled too much fumes. Where was I? Oh yeah. With every chemical item on the bus, I can now produce red circuits. Slow and steady wins the race. I could have done it before, but only now am I automating military science. Navigating through this mess is something. With red circuits in stock, I can now automate blue science. Even if I calculate roughly the numbers of machines needed for the 50 SPM, the idea here is having a scalable design. Once I've built the old setup, if I want more, I will just have to copy and paste it underneath. That's not perfect space-wise, but it's still scalable, and I love spaghettis. Wait, who stopped the music? Oh yeah. Producing that much plastic ate all of my coal and power spiraled down to death. I'm fixing that for now with more miners. On my lone island, I haven't seen any traces of uranium, so nuclear power is out of the question at the moment. For now, we will stick to solar panels. Now we have unlocked oil cracking. I think that after so many hours of playing Factorio, it's the first time I do it by myself and not by just copying a blueprint. With a lot of lube in stock, you know what's coming up next. Wait, what? What's titanium? I've never heard nor seen anything of this anywhere.
Okay, let's take a 1-inch brush and some titanium white. And let's figure out, maybe there's a little light back in here. So with the white paint, we'll just begin making little X's.
I don't have titanium white, but at least I have explosives now. Here's my consolation prize. A new vehicle called the Hovercraft. It's pretty fast, but the hovering part doesn't let you go over buildings. The upside is that it can go over water at a decent speed. It's gonna help for exploration. I've discovered a new land north of my island. It's a big one and full of promises. Yeah, and at this point I almost forgot the game had any biters in it.
Titanium white.
Alright, heading back to the base. Let's ignore the fact that the hovercraft gets stopped by a damn cliff. I have new technologies unlocked, and for that I need to update my spaghetti. Behold the containerization machine 2. It can handle a full red belt. I wanted to try them alongside the new rail trains, but in this mod trains require charged batteries. You load juice into batteries with those charging stations. Once again, I don't have time to show you everything, but I've done a few tweaks to my base. I have refined my iron unloading design for more output, and I'm also updating to steel furnaces. With power demand increasing, I'm adding solar power production with a blueprint stolen on the internet. Placing it by hand is tedious, but it should be over soon. Mining titanium requires lubricant, so the only viable option is to bring it with barrels. I'm setting up this train line that will go back and forth from the main base to the port. And now it's time to make the waterway. You don't get to experience the long time it took to build. You also have the chance to not see the 2 more trips I had to do. Once because I forgot the electric miners, and once because I barreled sulfuric acid instead of lube. You can't build power poles over water, so you've got only 2 options. Either you bring charged batteries and use them in discharging stations, or you build solar panels that require less logistic. And trust me, I'm lazy. Hey biters, say hello to my new little friend. So, now we've got this patch secured, I'm processing titanium on site and automating containers to bring it back to the base. If you want to understand how it works, you can pause and try to figure it out yourself. Or maybe just try them out, I don't know. Since the round trip time is really long, I need to increase throughput with more boats. Setting up stackers is a bit of a pain, but I eventually got it out. Finally, we've got those titanium plates on the bus. A small issue to this kind of long distance logistic is that boats won't get into the lane because another one is already doing the trip to the island. This problem already exists in the base game with trains, and the only solution to increase speed is to set up signals every now and so to the tracks. It's painful, but it's gotta be done. Now it's only a matter of setting up new building automation. Watch out, you people allergic to circuit conditions. I'm setting up a condition that will allow inserting new bots into the network only if the number of available bots is equal to 0, so it won't eat all of my resources. Now I'm placing roboports, defining my own logistic requirements and placing logistic and storage chests.
Okay. I think we have a painting that's almost finished and ready for signature.
While I was exploring the seas, I stumbled upon this mysterious square. It's called the Seamount and it allows you to recover polymetallic nodules with the promise of infinite resources. Game, you got me interested here. You can process, let's say, ferrous nodules with acid. It will give you a lot of iron ore, a trickle of stone and copper ore, and some other nodules as byproducts. The challenge is that space is limited on the dredging platform and you can't use underground belts here. The game heavily hints you to process everything on site, but that would require me to handle acid, batteries and ore containers all in that restricted space. I tried thinking about it for a while, but it seems too hard to handle for my little brain. So I'm opting for the idiot solution. Only solar panels and a big cargo ship that will bring the nodules back to my base. Back on my mainland, these sulfuric acid powered chemical plants will process everything. You can even see the nodal loopback with priority input splitters. With that, I'm thinking about scaling up my production. I set up a whole new electric furnace array. If you thought the little boats were slow, you'll be impressed by this one. So, to increase my production, I'm adding a ton of them. It's tedious to copy and paste the settings. What's even more tedious is the fact that, unless I'm stupid, there's no way to measure the number of fuel in a boat. I'm switching this condition to time-based, but if my fuel production isn't sufficient, boats will jump in the sea with no juice. I really want the logistic system research, but for that I'll need yellow science, which in turn needs blue circuits. So let's work on this. And there we have it, a nice yellow science block that I can copy and paste as much as I want. My power production suffers to provide enough to this base, so I'm politely asking my bots to build new solar arrays. I came back to it 1 hour later trying to figure out why it still wasn't enough. I think the video will speak for itself. Now to make a real train-powered base. The first step is putting iron and copper into containers. I went for this two-headed train system, so they can nicely park in, get the containers and park out for where it's needed. I think you'll understand it better with my awesome paint skills. So the trains go round like this in a circle. Every station is limited to one train. Up here we've got the stations called Iron L and Copper L for load. On the bottom I can add for instance two stops called Copper U and Iron U for unload. I can then process them into green circuits and load them into the green L station. If I need more production, I just have to copy and paste stations and add more trains. And voila! This kind of modular design takes time to design on paper, but it's worth it. And here it is, our first delivery of iron. Since my copper starter patch is still rich, I'm gonna add an electric furnace array and plug it into the train network. While you weren't looking, I've discovered 2 new dredging sites and set up waterways for them. The seamount in the middle will now supply copper with copric nodules, which have the same logic as ferrous nodules, but they give more copper. Remember when I said my whole design was revolving around the trust of fuel production? Well, what was meant to happen did happen. My cargo ships go for a long trip without fuel. I've tried to think about a solution for a long time with circuits. The main issue is that you can't read the number of fuel inside the cargo ship. I don't think there's a proper way to solve this without mods like the logistic train network. So, after bashing my head against the wall for an hour, I gave up. I'm switching to a big rocket fuel production. In case you were wondering, this is what happens when you accidentally press enter while at top speed with the hovercraft in the middle of the sea. Now that our ships are somewhat working, let's go back to that train-based design. I'm pulling plastic from my main bus into the train network. Using the same logic of loading and unloading stations, I'm now mass-producing red circuits. Here's a small catch with my design. Since there are several train stops named for instance Copper U, the train will always choose the nearest one possible. So here, it's stacking tons of copper containers, thus blocking the production of red circuits. The answer to that issue is simple. I've added circuit conditions that read the content of the container belt and disable the train station if the required items are on it. Now that I'm producing items, I need to use them. I've decided to go for an hybrid base. The basic items will come from the train network and they will get unloaded on the main bus for science usage and so. Here's a nice train unloading design that I'm proud of. Once again, I need to disable stations to avoid overflowing containers. Isn't it beautiful? Well, not that much because I'm having another issue. The red circuits are eating all of my green circuits. It's the same issue as before. This time I need to disable the inserter at the output of the containerization machine if there are already red circuit containers on the belt. Since I have OCD, I've spent an hour rebuilding my bus nice and clean. As much as I love losing my time, I've also done something useful with this bot mold and using requester chests for train batteries. Okay, this is a lot of effort and all, but what did I get out of all of this? Nothing. The nodule production is ridiculously small. I now produce less iron than I did 5 hours ago. I've tried patching it by adding more boats and even adding a whole battery setup to the dredging platform for more production. But this was a serious loss of time. The mod tips told me to process them on site. I didn't. I'm stupid and stubborn, and I will have to fix that in the future if I want real production. Let's not dwell on our mistakes and focus on the future. The future here being the purple science which requires uranium. If you have a good memory, you will recall we saw some radioactive patches in the North Island, so you know what time it is. Purple science is here, but it requires furnaces, so that's a lot of stone to ask for. Hopefully, there's a conveniently near stone patch next to my uranium one that I can take profit of. While I'm at it, let's add steel production. At this point I'm skipping you a lot of time with editing. I can't recall the number of tweaks I had to do in this base. Because I forgot one circuit, because of a container shortage somewhere, or other random blocking points. I even tried salvaging this mess by crafting modules and trying to show them into chemical plants for nodules, but you can't. This is gonna boost a little bit the production, but now it's official. If I want to end this game, I need to conquer some new faraway ore patches. Everything is getting better now. The base is thriving with tons of iron, and research has started back. I present to you the future of transportation, the cargo aircraft. This time it really flies over everything and it's really fast. Basically it's a glorified Spidertron, but I love the model. It's now time to set up nuclear power. I've just taken some blueprints online and here we go. The real advantage of cargo aircraft is that building called the Spidertron dock. It allows any aircraft that stands on it to share its inventory. Sadly, you can't load full containers on aircraft. But what you can do is this guy called Mr. Container. With waypoints set up, it will automatically take empty containers in the base and send them where it's needed, in this case the mine loading sites. With even more production ongoing, I can now use these containerization 3 machines that are able to feed an entire blue belt. Finally, we're talking about scaling. Something got me interested in the tech tree. Wait, am I reading this equipment grid size right? Is this really what I think it is? Oh my god, it's so fast. Magnificent. Wait, maybe I could do that. This thing is so overpowered. Look at this. Speeders can't even reach me because I'm flying. I'm just slowly going towards them and they just disappear. Well, that's what I call negotiations. Look, all this pacification wasn't useless. I found out those lava pools for later. So, we're finally reaching the late game. Here's my beacon-powered blue circuits array. Oh, you think it's gonna need more green circuits? Here, copy and paste, you have it. The last and real useful item we can get on the dredging platform is the cobalt crust, that we will be able to turn later into cobalt ingot. To get cobalt ore, we need to process cobalt crust. But unless the previous nodules, this time I've learned from my mistakes, and I will process everything on site. To bring sulfuric acid containers and batteries, I will use another aircraft with waypoints. The acid gets unbarreled, the batteries are unloaded and used for power, and the output empty barrels and discharge batteries are put back into the aircraft. Then, this chemical plant with speed modules processes the cobalt crust into ores. I only put cobalt ore into containers for boat delivery, and the rest is stored into chests with alarms set up for automation. Turning cobalt ore into ingots has its own little puzzle, but it's not overwhelming if you're used to this kind of overhaul mods. To summarize, it only requires water and explosives, and you have some kind of dirty water loop bag to handle. So you have to trust me on the design. Wait, did I forget any biters? Okay, I left only one nest leaf, but it turns out they can walk on this little shallow water bridge. Late game also means the resource demand is constantly increasing, and with my base design it's only a matter of a few Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. Honestly, that feels so satisfying. These red belts must have some kind of super magnetic field, because they seem to attract my aircraft. Now we want to launch a rocket in space. For that we need rocket control units, rocket frames and rocket fuel. The fuel is classic. The RCUs require charged battery packs, which in turn need the cobalt we've just automated. The last part of the puzzle is this Titansteel plate. It's made of titanium, steel and cobalt combined in a lava pool, then cooled down with water. For battery packs I'm lazy and I do it with bots. For Titansteel, I'm even more lazy and bring everything to the lava pools with this aircraft called the Titansteel Worker. Now to the lava pool. Everything gets unloaded, put into these hot tubs, and there's a small slag output to handle with sulfuric acid I have borrowed from my uranium site. The process also spits steam that we will vent with those turbines and a lot of scanners. That's wonderful. While waiting for our cargo ship to bring back those Titansteel plates, I have a rocket silo to build. Oh no. So in freight forwarding you can only build them in those rocket silo holes. I don't understand the scientific explanation, but hey, it's not my mod. I'm sparing you the 20 minutes it took me to find one, but hurry, we have it. Now with those beacon super-powered crafting machines, it's only a matter of waiting. So my Titansteel production is slow. At first I wasn't really worried about it, but to win the game in this mod you just don't have to launch a rocket in space. I need this research called the interstellar communication, which requires 2000 space science, and to get that I need to launch 10 rockets filled with satellites. Alright, so 10 rockets, that's 2000 science. But with production models in labs, I only need 1600 science, so that's 8 rockets Each rocket with proud modules requires 720 of each product. The slowest thing are Titansteel plates. I need about 3,500 of them. And at this whopping 13 plates per minute, this will take more than 4 hours of waiting. Alright. I won't just idle in front of my screen. I'm a gamer. The only issue is that I can't speed up the Titansteel production without having more lava pools secured. So, to kill time, I'm gonna kill biters.
I have the high ground!
That's it. 70 hours to end this game. I guess that's pretty bad and you can do way better. So while I let running some background shots of my base, I will talk about what I thought of the mod. I think that the exploring part of the game feels a bit boring. Maybe it's due to the size of the map, but I've spent a lot of time trying to find the new resources such as titanium dredging sites or rocket launch sites. A faster personal vehicle might be of use, but it's hard to balance. Containers are a nice concept on paper, but I'm not really a fan of the 1% loss possible when unloading. A lot of deadlocks can happen with it, and it's hard to keep track of everything. I didn't even mention it, but there's no way to use bots for them. Platform dredging was a nice concept, but I should have read more carefully the ratios. That was a big bait for me. I wish the platform was a little bit bigger to avoid some circuit automation, because I'm too bad at it. For the late game, Titansteel processing seems funny on paper, but being limited to your number of pools feels like an arbitrary restriction. What stalled the endgame for me wasn't the scale of my base, but the lack of lava pools. Maybe I was unlucky on map generation, I don't know. Now I'm complaining a lot, but did I enjoy this mod? Yes, absolutely, and you should play it too. It's a fresh new take on the Factorio experience, without being too much complex. The models are really polished. The small trains and all the transport options feel really great. Being on islands make biter management quite easier, but I won't complain about it. In the end, having imposed containers forces you to rethink your base building. The way I designed my base taught me a lot about trains, especially the part where I was disabling and enabling stations with circuits. So yeah, you should try it out. You can also tweak a few settings in the menu.